Welcome to this explainer. Look, if you're a focused learner searching for a totally stress-free, step-by-step guide to paying your property taxes online in Iredell County, North Carolina, you are in the exact right place. We're going to take what is usually a pretty tedious administrative chore and transform it into an effortless process. Seriously, even if you are a complete beginner to this, by the end of our time together, you'll be able to handle this with total confidence.
I mean, are you just entirely tired of the anxiety, those ridiculously long lines at the county building, and that frantic hunt for a postage stamp that seems to roll around every single tax season? We've all been there. Navigating local government tax cycles can definitely feel a bit overwhelming, but I promise you, the online payment system we're exploring today is the ultimate relief. By the time we wrap up, you'll know exactly how to safely settle your bill without ever leaving your living room. Okay, let's dive into our roadmap for today. First, we'll cover the basics of property taxes. Second, finding your actual tax bill. Third, navigating the payment portal itself. Fourth, how to avoid those nasty penalties and fees. And finally, we'll cover support and some quick disclaimers. So kicking things off with Section 1, the basics of property taxes. We really need to understand what you actually owe and, more importantly, why you owe it. Now, when you pull up your tax notice, you're going to see a few different numbers staring back at you. It is really important to clarify that the county calculates your actual tax bill based on the assessed value of your property, not necessarily the market value. See, market value is just what a willing buyer would theoretically pay a willing seller today. But your assessed value, that's the market value minus any applicable local exemptions, like the homestead exemption or maybe a senior citizen exemption. So your assessed value might actually be quite a bit lower, which directly lowers your out-of-pocket tax burden. To put that into some perspective for you, the median property tax bill across Iredell County sits right at about $2,103. But keep in mind, local rates vary drastically depending on where exactly you live. For example, if you live in Davidson, the median tax bill shoots way up to around $4,878, largely because the median home price there is over $800,000. Meanwhile, if you're over in Harmony, your median bill might be much closer to just $711. So the absolute crucial takeaway here is this. Always check your bill for a tiny little detail. Look for a box marked taxes escrowed. If that box literally says yes, you can take a breath. It means a copy of this bill was automatically forwarded to your escrow company or mortgage servicer. Iredell County uses a platform called Escrow Cloud that actually talks directly to over 5,000 national tax servicers. But if that box is blank, the responsibility falls 100% on you. You either have to manually forward that bill to your mortgage holder or you have to pay it directly yourself. All right, let's move right along to Section 2, finding your tax bill. Here's how you locate your specific records online. To do this, you just open up your web browser and head over to taxweb.iredellcountync.gov. That's going to bring you to their public administrative tool. And honestly, you don't need a PhD in real estate to find your bill. Under the Tax Bill Search tab, you can pull up your active ledger by typing in just one of three simple things: your last name, your parcel number, or your account number. Once you hit search, boom, you'll see your active tax record and your current outstanding balance right there. Which brings us to Section 3, navigating the payment portal. We'll walk through the step-by-step Municipay checkout process. The checkout flow is actually beautifully seamless once you know what to expect. Step 1, you just click the payment button on the Iredell County site, and you're immediately redirected over to Municipay, which is their secure third-party gateway. Step 2, you do have to accept their legal terms and conditions. Step 3, you have a choice. You can log into an existing account if you've got a digital wallet saved, or if you just want to get it done, you can proceed as a guest user, no registration required at all. Finally, select your payment method. You can do a credit card, a debit card, or an ACH e-check. One quick tip here, though, if you're a commercial entity making a massive transaction, keep in mind that those ACH e-check payments do have a maximum allowed limit of $400,000. Now, I need you to pay close attention to this exact phrase from the Municipay Terms of Service. It says, your taxes are not paid until funds settle into our bank account. This is a massive pitfall, folks. Hitting submit on the website does not mean your liability vanishes that very second. It takes real-world time for funds to clear the banking system. So please, whatever you do, do not wait until 11:59 p.m. on the deadline day to make your payment, or you might end up facing late fees simply because your funds hadn't settled yet. And that transitions us perfectly into Section 4, avoiding penalties and fees. These are the statutory deadlines you absolutely cannot afford to miss. So property taxes in Iredell County operate on a fiscal year basis. Officially, your taxes are due and payable on September 1st.
However, the state grants everyone a pretty generous grace period to settle the balance at face value without a single cent of interest or penalty. That grace period extends all the way through the holiday season, right up until January 5th of the following calendar year. But listen, you need to mark January 5th on your calendar in bright red ink. Because if you miss it, the penalties are automatic and they are severe. On January 6th, an immediate 2% interest penalty gets slapped right onto your balance. And it doesn't just stop there. If you still haven't paid by February 1st, that penalty shifts to an additional 0.75% every single month until the principal, the accrued interest, and all those penalties are totally paid off. And speaking of deadlines, there is another critical one you've got to be aware of if you happen to own personal property. While paying online is super easy, doing your paperwork is just as important. There is an individual personal property tax listing form that you must submit, completed, and signed by February 2nd. If you forget to list your applicable personal property by this date, you get hit with a flat 10% penalty. So really, paying on time is only half the battle. Listing your property on time is the whole other half of the equation. Finally, let's wrap up with Section 5, Support and Final Disclaimers. Basically, who to call when things go sideways. You see, Iredell County intentionally separates the duties of its tax departments. If you're having an issue with the municipal pay portal, if you see a billing discrepancy, or you have a question about a payment, you have to call the Tax Collector Division at 704-878-3020. But if you think the market value of your home was calculated wrong, or you need help with that property listing form we just talked about, calling the collector is just going to result in an annoying administrative delay. For valuations and listings, you need the County Assessor Division at 704-878-3010. Knowing exactly who does what is a massive time saver. Just to wrap things up with a quick professional disclaimer. While this explainer is completely designed to empower you to handle your property taxes effortlessly, you should always verify these details with official sources or chat with a tax professional if you're ever uncertain about your specific financial situation. You can always reach out directly to the official Tax Collector Division at P.O. Box 1027 in Statesville for official guidance. I want to leave you with this final thought. Navigating the machinery of local taxation doesn't have to be some blind, stressful scramble every year. When you understand the digital tools you have and exactly how the calendar works, you literally transform a dreaded civic burden into a simple 5-minute task. So, are you ready to take control of your tax season this year? Or maybe even start digging into how your property's assessed value actually stacks up against your neighbors? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy learning.